In this lesson, we're going to talk about multiplying and dividing rational expressions. Before we can multiply and divide, we need to learn how to simplify expressions. Okay, when I'm going to simplify a rational expression, I'm really just simplifying a fraction. So what I'm going to do is factor the numerator and factor the denominator, and then look if there are any common factors that I can cancel. Remember that factors are values that are being multiplied together. Okay, so let's look at this first example. I have 9x over 3x squared. Okay, both of the numerator and denominator are already in factored form. So let's see if there are any common factors between 9x and 3x squared. Okay, 9x and 3x squared both have a common factor of 3x. So if I cancel 3x from the numerator, I'm left with 3. If I cancel 3x from the denominator, I'm left with x. So my simplified rational expression is 3 over x. In the middle example, we can do the same sort of thing. I look at my numerator and denominator and factor them first. So 5x minus 10 can factor into 5 times x minus 2. 10x minus 20 can factor into 10 times x minus 2. And now we're going to look for the common factors. So the easiest one to see are the x minus 2, so I can cancel that right off the bat. Then I look at the 5 and 10 and see if there are any common factors, and the common factor there is 5. So when I cancel 5 out of the numerator, I'm left with 1, and out of the denominator, I'm left with 2. So this rational expression will simplify to be 1/2. Okay, our last example, we're going to do the same thing. 2x squared minus 3x minus 9 is 2x plus 3 times x minus 3. X squared plus 2x minus 15 is x plus 5 times x minus 3. I see that there's a common factor of x minus 3. That cancels, so my simplified expression is 2x plus 3 over x plus 5. Okay, again, the most important thing to remember is we need to factor the numerator and denominator. I can only cancel common factors. I cannot cancel common terms. Remember the difference between a term and a factor. A term is something that's being added and subtracted, and a factor is something that's being multiplied. So I couldn't just go ahead and cancel the 2x squared and the x squared because they are terms, they are not factors. So we factored the expression first and then canceled out the common factors. Okay, so just to kind of give you a little reminder, think about this poor kitten. Do not cancel common terms. Now that we know how to simplify, we can go ahead and learn how to multiply and divide. So in order to multiply a rational expression, we actually start off the same way that we do with simplifying. We're going to factor the numerator and denominator, and we're going to cancel common factors. But this time, remember, because we're multiplying fractions, we can also cancel along the diagonals. So here I have 5x over 8 times 4 over 10x cubed. Okay, the first thing I always check is within the fraction itself if anything can simplify. After that, we can look at the diagonals. So if I look at the diagonal here, I have 5x and 10x cubed. There's a common factor of 5x here. So this is going to simplify to be 1, and this is going to simplify to be 2x squared. Along the other diagonal, there's a common factor of 4, so I have 1 over 2. Now once I've canceled common factors, I can then multiply my simplified fractions. So I have 1 times 1 is 1 over 2 times 2x squared is 4x squared. So we've not only taken care of multiplying the fractions, we've also taken care of simplifying in the same process. Okay, let's do the same thing for the problem next to it. So let's first factor the numerator and denominator. X plus 1, x minus 1, over x minus 2 times x minus 3, times x minus 2 over x minus 1. So again, I look within the fraction itself. If I don't see anything, I can cancel diagonally. So the x minus 1s are going to cancel. The x minus 2s are going to cancel. So what are we left with? X plus 1 times 1 is x plus 1. X minus 3 times 1 is x minus 3. Okay, lastly, we're going to divide rational expressions. So dividing, the first step we do is we change it into a multiplication problem by keeping the first fraction the same, changing the sign to multiplication, and then flipping the second fraction to the reciprocal. Then we have a multiplication problem that we already know how to simplify. Okay, so my first problem here is going to be rewritten as 7x squared over 4y cubed times the reciprocal of the second fraction, 8y to the 5th over 21x. Now what I can do is simplify along my diagonals again. This is going to simplify to be x, and this is going to simplify to be 3. This is going to simplify to be 2y squared and 1. So I have x times 2y squared is 2xy squared over 1 times 3 is 3. Okay, in the second problem, I'm actually going to do the keep, change, and flip while I'm also factoring, just to save myself a little bit of space. So I have x plus 5 times x minus 5 over x plus 4 times x plus 1 times 2x times x plus 4 over x minus 5 times x minus 5. Now I can cancel. One copy of the x minus 5's cancel, x minus 4 cancels, and that looks like everything. So my answer here is x plus 5 times 2x, so 2x times x plus 5 over x plus 1 times x minus 5.